The Garnet and Old show, no inside info, no contacts, no problem, and now streaming in 1080p. I'm Ryan. That's Vince. How are you doing today, sir?
Were we not streaming in 1080p before?
No, we were streaming in 720p, but we've upgraded because of some updates on the StreamYard side. So I hope if one thing anyone says about our show, Vince, if one thing I hope anyone can recognize.
I gotta look better if we're gonna be in 1080p, brother.
4K is next, brother. No.
Please no.
If there's one thing I hope that people can tell is that we put some time into production and video and audio and lighting. Vince and I love listening to shows who have good video, audio, and lighting, and so we put a lot of work to make sure that you guys can hear, see, and interact with us. So hopefully you guys enjoy the 1080p, and if you want to adjust it, hit the three little dots in YouTube and go ahead and change it from auto to 1080p for a clearer picture of Vince and Ryan.
Listen, and you're saying that we spent a lot of time on the production. That stems from the fact that our first couple months of this show was absolutely and completely
trash.
Something you would want to forget. But since then, much to the chagrin of my wallet, we've upgraded the production quality.
Absolutely.
And we start on time.
Thank you, Tomcat. He's a friend of the show. And yeah, we appreciate that. We try, literally, Vince and I watch the countdown timer to the top of the hour and hit go almost within seconds every single time. So I appreciate you guys. I do want to shout out a few people before we get into some like odds and ends, Vince. Ed Lemix in the chat, as always. How's it going?
Good
Ed?
evening. Good evening, Ed.
YouTube member Nick Snyder says, "Hey-os." Now, Vince, how do you become a YouTube member?
Well, there's a couple different ways to become a YouTube member. One of the ways that you could do right now is if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're not on YouTube, go to YouTube. But if you're on YouTube, there's a join button. Click that join button, and we have 3 different levels that you can join with. And I think you probably wanted me to put the banner up, and there it goes. But there are 3 different levels there. Ryan, are we due to do another membership
this weekend? Yeah, we are.
Member-only video this weekend.
Live. Yep. So we will announce that by tomorrow evening on date and time. But sometime this weekend, we'll do a exclusive for 1 week live stream for our YouTube members only. So it'll be private just to you guys, and then a week later we release it to the general public of YouTube. But yeah, that's part of a perk of being as part of the Garnet and Old family. Now, hey, the ones that are already members, another perk, you can get in contact with Vince and I via Discord. You got to get in the Discord to chat with us one-on-one. Send us questions for the upcoming shows. If you ever think of something that you want us to talk about in the next week's show, Discord us, or if you follow us at VC Nole, at Big Papa East, and if you message us and mention us in that tweet, hey, I'm a YouTube member, here's my name, we'll follow you back, and that allows you to DM us on X. So a lot of different benefits for being a member. So if you're already a member, please sign up. And even if you don't want to be a member, even if you just want to support Garnet and Old in free ways, you can hit like and subscribe as always. Now, Tomcat, I will be getting to this a little bit later. So Tomcat, when we were, you know what, Vince, since you don't have much of a Lost update, right?
I do not. So, yeah, just a quick thing on Lost is I'm still at the same place I was at last week. Life gets in the way. So I have no new updates for that. So Ryan, why don't we take us on a little weird cruise ship thing here?
I have some, yeah. And Tomcat, while I'm about to tell my story that I did come prepared tonight with, which my dad will probably kill me for telling, but you know what? He probably doesn't watch the show regularly, so maybe not. Please type in your wildest cruise story. I want to share it with the audience. So, Vince, I was on a cruise with my father and family members, and he decided, this is when he was a single, a golden bachelor, if you were. All right, a single man, and he decided to go to the singles only night at the bar. They have it every night, I think at like 7 or 8 o'clock, right? So he goes. We don't hear from him at all. that night. The next morning, we're having coffee out at the pool deck. And we said, "How was the singles only? You meet anyone?" He's like, "I actually met a really, really cute girl. And I actually invited her to come hang out with us down by the pool deck." So I just messaged her on the app and told her we'd be down by the pool deck. He said her name is, I think, Sparkles or Sprinkles. And he kept going, "Is it Sprinkles or Sparkles?" I'm like, "Well, both names are fantastic, whether it's
Yes.
Sprinkles or Sparkles."
What kind of
But
cruise ship was this, Ryan?
it's a Carnival cruise, I'm going to be honest.
All right. Just
Yeah.
checking in.
So from the distance, you see a road hard in life individual walking from the buffet straight towards the pool deck. And I'm the first to say, that lady looks so like she's had a long life. And my dad turns and goes, "Who?" And he turns, he goes, "Oh, oh." He realizes the moment that he was really, really, really intoxicated the previous night when he had singles night.
And her name wasn't Sprinkles or Sparkles. Her name was Spackles.
Her name was actually Sparkles, but yes, she needs the spackling. And I felt really bad for her, despite, I mean,
Yes, yeah.
We know the type, raspy voice, a lot of faded tats, that kind of thing. My dad said, "Hey, me and my family are about to go to lunch, so maybe we'll see you a little bit later." And then he just kind of avoided any sights for the rest of the cruise. So that's my cruise story of the night, is that my dad met a lady named Sparkles and had beer goggles at the bar.
That's really great. I'm sure the drinks are flowing, so I'm sure the vision isn't so great. So probably some of us have been in that mode.
Vince, you have an epic cruise story.
I do have an epic one, but I don't think we're going to do that here tonight.
Give us the 10,000-foot view version of it. Like there's some main points here. This is incredible because this was in the news.
Absolutely was in the news. The main points of this, the mile markers are: cruise ship runs aground, wife has pneumonia, they have to fly everyone back home. Those are the three main points. But there's a lot of turmoil through, from point A to point B to point C. Let's just say that. Ryan?
And Vince, one big thing is what was the ship name? Because you guys can look up the story if you want to read about this. It was on its way out of a Dominican Republic port, I believe.
Yes,
and it ran aground, right?
Puerto Plata, and they were leaving Puerto Plata, and it was very windy that day. And according to the captain, the cruise ship made contact with the channel bottom. That's how they say it. The cruise ship made contact with the channel bottom, and we proceeded to spend the next 3 days in port, or maybe more than that. Like I said, wife got pneumonia, and there's way more to the story. But the cruise ship was Norwegian. I think the ship was the Escape. I think it was the Escape.
And it was probably, wouldn't you say, around 2021 or 2?
Yeah, it was right around 2021. Yeah. Ryan, we got a new member.
Can I get a oh yeah?
Mike Holly, welcome.
Welcome, Mike. Thank you.
Family of Garnet and Old. So thank you so much for joining in. Real quick, also, member Chris Johnson. Good evening, No Nation. Good evening, Chris. Good to see you.
What's up, Chris?
And then Chris Johnson said the only cruise that I've been on is on a I don't know how to say that. So a river cruise. We would go weekend. And real quick, Tomcat did post his story. My brother-in-law and his wife booked a cruise and got on the boat. And let's just say his wife was one of the only women on the boat. They won't warn you about this. Yes, so I have seen this. Sometimes dice roll in a certain way. And if you're the one lady on the at the bar, unfortunately, you probably get approached and incensed. And now Sparkles would welcome it.
Sparkles would be all about that.
But not all women would like that experience. But yeah, Vince, your story though, I'm not going to go into any big deep details. But the thing is, you had a cruise booked for March of 2020 that you had been looking forward to for a year. The week that the country shut down, that cruise got canceled. In fact, I was sitting next to you when you got the email, or you had to cancel it yourself because of COVID, and you had your hands in your face and just despair that day. And I felt so bad. And then this cruise that ran aground was the makeup cruise that was supposed to right the wrongs. So you had two bad cruise experiences. Now the third one, Vince, the last one you went on, it was great, right?
Absolutely. We made up for it. We made up for it, and maybe that'll be the members only show. I don't know. I don't know if people care about that, but let's just say we saw some things.
Chris Johnson writes, cabrewing is when you mix brewing with drinking with canoeing. I did not know that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's awesome. So while we got everybody in here now pretty close, I think our buddy, Mr. Doug Rohan, is going to be joining here in a few minutes. So that's great. So while we're waiting for him to join, everybody that's watching, listening right now, grab a link, post it in your social media feed, and tell everybody to come on. Let's go. Let's get more people in here.
And later in the show, get your cell phones ready, because later on in the show, we're going to post, we did this last week for the first time. We're going to post this number later. Don't call yet.
I'm on Do Not Disturb right now.
So later on, we're going to post that number down below, and you can call in and ask your question live on the air. What I would ask you to do, though, if you're going to call in, is mute your audio on your, like, whatever you're watching YouTube on, whatever you're watching the show on, so we don't get any feedback. And second, say your name, and if you want to shout out like who you are in the social spaces, ask your questions, make your comments. Then Vince will say thanks for calling in, and then Vince and I will discuss, because I will not be able to hear you. Vince is essentially the DJ that can hear. I can hear you, but I can't talk back to you. So ask your question, say your name, and then to be frank, get the hell off our. I'm just kidding. Just having some fun. We love to hear from you guys. So get those phones ready. We'll do that probably in about 20, 30 minutes or so.
Quick check in on the softball team, winning 2-0 over Notre Dame in the ACC tournament. They're in the bottom of the 6th inning.
Yeah, compliments of Kirk David Toney.
Oh, there you go. I was just checking it out.
He's got you taken care of. No, Mike Lee, the first thing you thought we were going to talk about, the sank ship in the Mediterranean. No, thank God we weren't on that.
That wasn't me.
Concordia, I think. Something Concordia. Yeah, I think that was it.
Oh, we got oh my gosh.
What?
We got a tech problem here with Brett Taylor. I don't know what to do about that. That's a lot. Search Garnet and Old live streaming does not come up as an option. Interesting. I don't know what to say about that.
Here's the only thing I can think of is that if you don't have really good, it might not be. Where are you vacationing?
Oh, you're going to give it away. Could be where he's vacationing.
Could be where you're vacationing in the country. Certain shows and don't show up in the American YouTube for live streams overseas. So I've ran into that myself. All right, Vince. What a week.
Yeah, let's get into it. Okay, let's get into it.
So the one thing I want to bring up immediately, my favorite news of the week, is Auburn linebacker transfer. Linebacker, Vince. Cam Riley commits to Florida State, man. And I was at work and I did a little fist pump, and then I went back to work, because I myself have been saying I really want a linebacker really bad. Just kind of fill out the roster. And not only is he a linebacker, but he's an SEC linebacker who's played he started in games, made big time plays, and has this is his last year of eligibility. So I'm excited to have Mr. Cam Riley join the Noles. Are you excited, Vince?
I'm excited too. The reason more so for me is that there's not a lot of veteran presence in that room. And he's going to be, even though he's new to the team, he's played a lot of ball. So that part of it, we need some more veteran mentorship in that room. I think as the season goes on, the younger guys, they'll get more and more time on the field. So But that for me was the main thing. Could we have survived without another linebacker for the season? Absolutely, we could have.
Yeah.
But this just solidifies it.
Now, Vince, I am excited about the rest of the roster moves, but I'm even more excited about. Doug,
did you hit that or me?
Garnet and Old show. Let's go. I did. I was ready. I was ready to hit it. I wanted to surprise.
I think you clipped yourself off when you did that.
You did. I'll tell you why adding Cam Riley is important is because the more guys that have been to more places that show up and go through Mike Norvell's system and become ambassadors, make it that much easier for him to get the guys he wants.
Absolutely. And there's more to be had, and we'll talk more about that after our discussion about the lawsuits, multiple lawsuits. But there was some stuff that happened this week, and lay the groundwork for us, Doug, and then we'll break it down a little bit.
Sure. We had finally the written order from Judge Cooper that came out regarding the first hearing that they had on April 9th. So I know it sounded like there was some neat stuff coming out. There were a bunch of people talking about it on Twitter again, but this was still just his finally getting to publicizing and publishing his order from that hearing that we already won on April 9th. So we don't have anything yet from his second hearing, which is when we were supposed to get the 7 days for Florida State to amend their complaint for the second time. So that still hasn't started. We're still waiting for that time frame to start clicking down. But hopefully this order was a lot easier to write than the first order, which I said at the time when we were hearing the judge rule from the bench, Judge Cooper rule from the bench, the second order should be a lot easier and faster to write. So hopefully we'll have that sometime next week. Yeah.
I had to update the timeline. We needed more than one arrow for this timeline. And also my OCD has color-coded the dots so you know how things play out. Hopefully the text is easily legible for those of you that may or may not need glasses. I know Doug's struggling a little bit there. But we're at the May 6th. That's what I have there for Cooper's first order comes out. And then May 7th, I don't know if you're going to get into this, but because you're not following this case as much, the ACC filed a motion to dismiss in South Carolina the next day.
What I'd like to share about the Clemson loss is how disappointed I am, because once again, Florida State is laying the groundwork and showing how it's done, and some orange-clad Clemson grad, as I coined the term today, should have stepped up by now to start analyzing the Clemson lawsuit the same way that we're doing. All you have to do is copy what we're doing and copy what I'm doing and do it again. So Clemson should be really good at that. But school's getting out at the end of the month of May. Kids are going to be out of school, and a lot of obligations will be off to the side. So look, if somebody doesn't step up from the Clemson side of the ledger before June, then maybe I'll just have to add that to my repertoire and start getting up to my elbows in the Clemson law. I really don't want to do that. I play nice. I like the other Florida State lawyers, and we share with them. So I really would prefer for some Clemson interested law grad to step up and start taking the responsibility for those breakdowns.
They're just late to the game, kind of like Clemson was. So
yeah, they're very similar to how they handle the portal.
They're really
in that case, they're never going to show up. They're just not going to show up if that's the case.
They're really late to that game. So the order that came out is nothing more than the official order of what was decided weeks and weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, look, it was a reminder that Florida State did score several runs early on, and Judge Cooper is laying out the groundwork and the logic and the reasoning for his opinions, and he's pretty solid. At the end of the day, he's going to be putting Florida State in a good position once they get around to filing their second amended complaint, which is really what I'm most excited about. There should be some new fireworks. There should be some new approaches. I don't think Florida State is just going to stick to rewriting the jurisdiction section, especially in light of how much additional time they've had to dig into that document and to rewrite it. So it should be new and exciting when it comes out, and I'm very much looking forward to it at some point in the next probably 2-3 weeks.
I followed your Twitter thread, your X thread on the order that came out, and you had mentioned something about a shot across the Bledsoe bow or something like that. So can you and remember, for everybody that's watching, Bledsoe is the judge in North Carolina that is presiding over that case. So explain to everybody what you meant by that and what you read that caused you to say that.
So this was from his order where he was talking about a bunch of different cases that are dealing with the first to file, the priority status of filing first. And Judge Cooper cited a bunch of different cases, a lot of them federal cases, some patent cases, to substantiate or to come up with his support for his position. But in particular, he pulled a 2000 North Carolina Court of Appeals case. So he's going into Bledsoe's backyard and pulling that case out to include with his decision. And he was saying that in situations in which two suits involve overlapping issues that are pending in separate jurisdictions, priority should not necessarily be given to the declaratory suit simply because it was filed earlier. Rather, if that plaintiff in the declaratory suit was on notice, which the ACC admitted in their North Carolina hearing, the reason why they rushed out to file was because they knew Florida State was going to be filing, then a court should look beyond the filing dates to determine whether that suit is merely a strategic maneuver to achieve a preferable forum. So here, Judge Cooper is going into North Carolina, pulling one of their cases out, setting it on the table and saying, this is exactly what you did, ACC. Not only did you do it, but you provided affidavits from high members of the council with Ryan putting in his affidavit saying we specifically were going forward with this suit because we knew Florida State was going to do it. So Judge Cooper did a really good job of skewering Bledsoe and pointing out that this is going to be a fight going forward. So I'm not gonna roll over and let you take over.
If the ACC is just going to do it, and not only do it, say that they did it and say the reason why they did it, and the judge is still going to let it happen, they might as well just say and do whatever they want.
Mm-hmm.
So you asked me to add another card, which I did, Doug. Res judicata.
Res judicata.
Yep. A judged matter. So I was following one of your other posts, and you had added me in the post saying, hey, here's another one for the legal flashcard screen.
Yes.
Let's
so
talk
there,
about
what
that.
they're saying is res judicata is the idea, the reason why all of these orders have a bunch of cases that they're citing to is because there is a fundamental principle within the law that once a court decides a matter, that is how future courts should continue to rule. So res judicata is formally handcuffing a judge to say, look, if this specific issue comes up again, this is how this matter is to be decided. So whenever lawyers are arguing these cases in front of these judges, they will cite to cases that they think support their opinion, and they'll explain all the reasons why it's similar and why it should be ruled in the same way. And then when you're on the other side, you're looking for reasons why there should be a distinction or why there should be a difference drawn between that prior decision. An excellent example is the North Carolina hearing. You saw a lot of the Troy University case being referenced. Florida State was arguing that the Troy University situation allowed Troy to be sued in North Carolina because Troy filed as a business entity and had a registered agent. The only purpose of a registered agent is to receive complaints in case of a lawsuit. So Florida State was saying, we haven't done what Troy University did. We haven't registered in North Carolina as a business entity. We don't have a registered agent. And that should have been a sufficiently different detail to allow Judge Bledsoe to distinguish those two cases, to separate those two cases, to say they weren't related. Unfortunately, as we know now, Judge Bledsoe did not agree. And so what he said was those examples were just administrative examples of how a business can demonstrate that they're participating in the commerce of the state. Florida State is very clearly actively participating in the conference and therefore also participating in the conference, in the commerce of the state. So Judge Bledsoe took one issue and manipulated it in such a way to support the position of the ACC.
Awesome. Now we do have some questions from the
Surprise.
crowd, Doug. Now the first one comes from the diamond ring wearing, jet flying, Ric Flair. I hope it's the real Ric Flair. Woo! If Clemson has success, would the FSU lawyers scrap their approach and just go all with Clemson's approach, or vice versa? So he's saying basically, if Clemson's lawsuit was going better, would FSU lawyers mirror what Clemson's doing if they had a better angle on it?
I think that's already going to happen. One thing that's interesting when these parties file these suits is you have different strategies. Look, Bill Belichick and Bill Parcells can face off in a Super Bowl and have different ideas on how they're going to win. Neither one's wrong, but obviously, ultimately, one team's going to win and one team's not going to win. So similarly, the attorneys here are looking across the side to see what Clemson is doing. And I have no doubt that's why I think that they reserve the right to change their complaint so that they could add some of those same arguments that Clemson is making. We haven't seen the ESPN agreement yet. Clemson is largely basing what they're saying on this idea, and I could understand how this is happening, but we've seen the ACC grant of rights. We've already attacked the ACC grant of rights. I think Florida State is going to include this newer argument that the ACC grant of rights specifically mentions ESPN, acts on behalf of ESPN, and for the benefit of ESPN. So when you take ESPN out, there is no grant of rights. That gets us to a point where if ESPN does not extend the contract, then we're only in a grant of rights through 2027. Clemson took it one step further and said the ESPN agreement is permissive in giving us the right to leave when we want. And so if the ESPN agreement lets us out, similarly, then the ESPN agreement doesn't apply to Clemson. There's no need for the ACC to require Clemson's rights. That's a little bit more of a stretch still because we haven't seen the ESPN agreement yet. It is going to be produced in South Carolina, so they will have an opportunity to see it. What they do in response, including that with their documentation, will generally dictate what Florida State does next. But that's the logic that we're pursuing in making that claim. And understand why that makes sense. ESPN doesn't have a dog in the fight of the grant of rights. ESPN is just here to make ESPN look better. So, of course, it makes sense that they would be like, oh, yeah, these teams can do whatever they want. These teams can come and go as they please. We don't care about the grant of rights. We just want the grant of rights before we agreed to go ahead and move forward with all of our investment.
I think one of the things that's interesting about that question is that you don't necessarily, I don't know what the benefit is of both sides doing the exact same thing anyway, because don't you want your enemy slit, right? You want them to be trying to plug every hole imaginable. So it's better that Clemson is attacking this thing from a different way because, how many resources are you going to throw at the problem? That's the ACC's main problem right now is how much time and money and resources are they going to throw? Imagine if another school jumps into the fray.
Yeah, it's kind of like you go for the legs, I'll go for the neck.
Yeah, exactly right.
Well, we've already seen it happen in our case before even Clemson got involved. The ACC was arguing two different opposite perspectives in the two different courts. So you throw in Clemson in this, and now they're tripping all over themselves, saying different statements in all their courts. Remember, the ACC has 4 cases going on right now. Florida State has 2. The ACC has 4. You add North Carolina, that's a 5th case. They're both in North Carolina, so you're not splitting that. There's not 6 cases. But now you have 5 different ways that the ACC is trying to manage this chaos. And that's why it would be beneficial to see another player enter the chat, because then we have a serious situation where the ACC, even if they're fighting for their life, and I put this point up on one of the YouTube videos comments today, yes, the ACC is facing an existential threat. And yes, it makes sense for them to fight tooth and nail as long as possible. But if the end result is the grant of rights is invalidated, the exit fee is deemed to be unviable, untenable, then every conference member can get out for $30 million. So let's go ahead and settle with a number at $200 million, because there's only 2 or 3 teams that can afford $200 million. That keeps everybody else in the ACC. That's why there's an incentive for the ACC to go ahead and reach some kind of an agreement.
I do have a question myself that I thought of, and this is probably a question any lawyer could answer about any case. When this many cases are brought against the ACC, and let's say another person joins, and that's 5 or maybe 6, who knows, cases. What is the money situation like? How much the ACC has to afford to fight all these legal battles at the same time? What does that look like from them? Like, do they have to, that's a lot of money. I almost feel like at some point it becomes a lost cause that they're spending so much that it'd be more affordable and more pragmatic to settle.
Let's say I do have my phone on me. A minimal billable hourly rate for an associate.
Calculator.
Yeah. For an associate in this type of case is $350, could be up to $1,000 per hour. But let's go on the low end of $350 per hour. Each side has multiple attorneys handling this case. Some are partners. So forget it. I'm going to go $500 now. Let's average out the lowly associate with the partners making $750, $650 an hour. Let's just do $500 an hour. In an average month, an attorney bills maybe, 200 hours in billable time. Attorneys have more than one client, no question, but let's say that this litigation is taking up half that time, so 100 hours per week. So 500 times 100 hours, because I don't do math in my head, you're probably spending a minimum of $50,000 per month in defending this suit.
Per case, right?
Per case, yeah.
Per associate or for the case?
No, because there's more. I have right now 227 clients in my law firm. That's another reason why these cases drag out. You don't spend all your time
all the
just
time
on one case. You've got to spend some time on this case, some time on that case. But there's no question, thank you, Smitty, $50,000 to $100,000 per month is being budgeted in the cost of this litigation while it goes on. FSU has to pay for 2 lawsuits. The ACC has to pay for 4. So are we spending $500,000, $250,000 per month on attorney's fees? That adds up pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane. I went to the wrong field, Vince.
What's that? You went to the wrong field,
to the wrong field, yeah.
Being an attorney is highly lucrative. But let me not dissuade you from the realities. I have 227 people that depend on me for their freedom, for
livelihood,
for their financial and economic success. The type of stress attorneys face will break the common man.
And you have
no doubt
to balance your home life with work life, and that's a lot.
I happen to be married with 3 kids. One of them graduating high school this year. Yeah. It takes a special character to thrive in this environment.
And you're a
amazing
special character to us.
A special character for sure. Yeah. So are there any more dates scheduled? Do we have any further dates scheduled?
I feel bad because I whiffed for the first time since we've started this process. For the most part, I have been pretty on with guessing what's going to happen next. And I was convinced that Judge Bledsoe would issue his order today based on the hearing last week. And we would have tonight to share it. This is the first time that I have been completely wrong. I even hit the refresh screen as soon as I joined with you all just to see if they finally filed the order today. And I have to admit I was wrong. So what we have coming up is Judge Bledsoe's order. Probably will be an hour after I finish with you all or first thing tomorrow morning. I'll share that on X. Then we've got the second order from Cooper that should be coming out. And then 7 to 10 days after that, we'll get the second amended complaint from Florida State. That's the next big one for me. And I'm very excited about that one. Hopefully that doesn't fall with Memorial Day coming up or my daughter's graduation. Those are going to be things that take precedence over this issue. I haven't been paying attention to the Clemson. I don't know what's going on. I think I heard there was a mediation that's scheduled for like October for that case. And then the appellate decision, the appellate court case in Florida State versus the ACC in North Carolina is probably weeks, if not months, away from any movement. So I go back to what I've said repeatedly. Nothing's going to happen before August 15th. After August 15th, I think that's when the parties start getting serious about reaching some kind of an agreement. And how quickly they reach that agreement will depend on how much progress they've made already.
Mr. Trauma Boy, who's a member, real quick, writes, Rohan breaks out the glasses to impress the jury.
As I have said repeatedly.
Yeah.
Yes.
One of the, I lost one of my screens, but that's okay. We don't need to do that anymore. I was going to pull up the timeline again, but we don't have any specific dates currently, right? There are no next court dates per se. So there's nothing on the docket for that I'm aware of.
But the deadline is fast approaching for exit out of the ACC. So this thing, the fun thing we get into now, Doug, with this lawsuit and all these lawsuits, is the closer we get, June, July. If we hit August, it's like that's we're gonna see something by then. Something's gonna happen. I will put my professional whatever reputation I have left that FSU will be announcing that they're leaving conference before the deadline. So there's a lot of action I think that will happen.
I'll take the over.
You take the over on that. I know why Doug's taking the over on that, but yes, I think that because I think there's a greater chance that 2025 will be the last season in the conference rather than 2024. And the way this kind of the way it's going right now, it makes even more sense for that to happen. Now, Doug, go ahead and tell them your thoughts on what you think we will know, though, between August 15th and Dublin.
Yeah, I think that's when they'll announce their departure. I think that's when they'll announce. I think at a minimum they'll announce they're leaving the conference. I think it's very likely that they announce that there is an agreement on the table. I think even if they work through the summer to come up with a framework of an agreement, even if they have something, I think the ACC wants another year of Florida State TV revenue. I think Florida State wants another year to more efficiently transition into a new conference. I think it limits the exposure of the new conference to any claims of tortious interference. If we were to announce before August 15th and jump straight into a new conference for 2025, when did those conversations take place? They had to have already taken place. We announce after August 15th, we pay a whole year, and then, in September, we had a phone call and talked to the folks, fine folks up in Rosewood, Illinois, about what our future landing spot would be. So now, it seems to make more sense for that to happen.
Keep it give me some hope. Tell me it's not impossible.
Well, if you want to get really crazy, let's get 7 players to decide before June 30th that the ACC should cease to exist.
Hello. Yeah, that is true.
We don't have a new member until July 1st.
All it takes is for the fastest growing fan base to decide, the fastest growing brand to decide that they've had enough. And they are going to throw their hat into the ring, and they are going to get what's rightfully theirs.
Demand that Big Ten money.
Absolutely. What do you think about the baseball series this weekend, Doug?
I think we need to win 2 out of 3 in order to maintain our number 8 status for our national seed. Really happy to celebrate Marshall McDougall Day today with his anniversary of his 6 home runs. Why they were pitching to him for a 7th at bat, I'll still never know. But yeah, that was we're excited to see what this team can do if they can finish strong. We've got Cam Leiter coming back out of the injury in a bullpen fashion this weekend, so we'll see if he can win 2 or 3 innings of relief work and see if we can buckle down and take this ACC tournament seriously.
Yeah, I posted 6 baseballs on one of my tweets today. That's what that was for. And apparently, I did not know this. Apparently, in the night before his last at bat of the night before, he hit a home run. So he had hit 7 home runs in 8 at bats or something crazy like that. So it's crazy.
I do want to mention one other scenario real quick, Doug.
Yep, go for it.
ESPN and the ACC, and ESPN thinks, hey, this would be a lot easier if we just get Florida State and Clemson in the SEC. And Florida State already opens 2025 against Alabama. One game already in the books. Let's just say we settle, and ESPN comes in and says, let's make this an easier transition for everyone, and it's the path of least resistance. That's not a 0% chance.
I agree. I think that's really the bigger question is not whether or not Fox wants us. The bigger question is how bad does ESPN want Fox to not have us? Of all the things going on, that's the biggest question I have. How bad you've all played Risk. We played Risk growing up. How bad does ESPN want to defend their territory? Defending your territory can cost you a lot of armies as you continue to roll those dice. How much money do they want to put into the pot to keep Florida State in the ESPN portfolio?
And imagine the hype that first game if we open against Alabama in our first conference game. I mean, that would be exciting.
In the brand new, newly renovated Doak Campbell Stadium.
I imagine
it'll be bigger than Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
I imagine that ESPN would have to do something of great significance for the ACC in order for that to fly as far as antitrust stuff.
Because how about we will pick up the option if you let Florida State out for $200 million.
And we will continue to pay you the same paltry amount we have been paying you, which the world would love that.
Of course. With one less mouth to feed.
Yeah.
Right. That's true.
It's going to be a fun couple months no matter what.
I'm here for it. Speaking of which, I wore this in honor of our trip to Ireland. We took up our time with cases this week, and I'm working on some things in the background, but I do plan to get with you guys either next week or the week after, depending on what happens with these lawsuits, to talk about what our suggestions are for the Ireland trip. So if anybody's planning on going to Ireland, this is appointment watching for the next 2 weeks, because I can't promise it'll be next week. I've got some homework I've got to do with my staff and with my office in the background. But I'm going to have something ready for our friends. And we also mentioned on Twitter, I'll put it out for the first time on a podcast format, that there's going to be an Atlanta Twitter meetup at Scofflaw Brewery on June 29th, about 5 p.m. So if you are in Atlanta, Noel, listening to this show, we're going to go out there and have a good time just hanging out. And if either of you want to drive up for the weekend and make Atlanta your pre-4th of July holiday trip, then come on up to Scofflaw. But Rohan Law will have a banner out there, and we're going to have some drinks and hang out at Scofflaw Brewery next to Topgolf.
That sounds like a fantastic time. I'll have to check with the powers that be around here to see what's actually in play during that time. But we will definitely promote it, as you know, Doug.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, Dublin, even though it seems far away, it's really not.
We're in May, folks. We're halfway through May.
Yes.
Before you know it, we are halfway through May. We are almost at the midpoint of the year.
Sometime this month, we are going to get EA Sports College Football full announcement and trailer and everything. It's coming. And my prediction, can I give you my prediction?
Shedeur Sanders on the cover.
No, that better not happen.
Probably.
My prediction, Doug, and I have a person who indicated this to me. Now, I'm not going to say, hey, I'm putting myself behind this. This is what's going to happen. I'm not reporting news, no inside info. But a person who I do know that works in the game news industry happened to tell me, just pay attention to May 15th.
Okay.
That's all he said.
Halfway through the month. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
And it's the exact day that the first teaser trailer came out, on the 15th of the month in March.
Woot woot.
I need to start pocketing some money here to get ready for the console I have to buy. But if you don't own a console and you're watching this show right now, you have a chance to win a console and a copy of the game if we can get our subscriber count up to 2,000 by the time the game comes out. The game will come out in July. Like, we know that. Like, that's when it's going to come out.
July 15th.
Maybe July 15th. Ryan's staking his whole life on the 15th. And Florida State's going to get out on the 15th. Like this is all lining up.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers. If you know anyone that you think would like this show, like the content, like the format, send it on. And we're talking about 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. So thank you very much for that. And thank you, Ryan, for being willing to part with your retirement to give a video game console to the people.
Yeah, my marriage is on the line here. You know, the wife, every time the checkbook comes calling, you know.
Speaking of marriage, I've got dinner to get to.
Yes, sir.
Lemon pepper chicken capers.
That's
deliciousness. Gnocchi. It's going to be delicious with some broccoli.
Doug, we appreciate you as always, and we will see you next week.
Sounds good. Talk to you then. Bye.
All right, Vince, with the last 10, 15 minutes left on the show, pop that number down for the call-in. Guys, get your cell phones ready. And by the way, we have a couple hundred people watching live right now, and I see only a few likes. I want to see the like number on this video at YouTube double in the next 5 minutes. Come on, help me out. If you do one thing for me, Big Papa East, Big Daddy East needs your help. Give us some likes, please. But if you want to comment on anything, what Doug said, the transfer portal, which we're going to talk a little bit more about, Ireland, ACC stuff, whatever you want, call that number, mute your YouTube channel so we don't have any reverb or feedback. Come on the air when Vince introduces you, say who you are and ask your question and say your comment, and then hop on off and we'll talk about it. So call that 850-583-4GNO or 850-583-4466. Now, Vince, we were talking about Cam Riley, big-time linebacker. It's nice to have a position of need filled, yes?
Yes. Cam Riley also goes by Sparkles, I believe. And if you want to know what Sparkles is all about, if you got here late, you have to go back and watch the beginning of the show. But yeah, we were talking about Cam Riley, and we were talking about the need we have to kind of bolster the veteran presence of that room, or not necessarily veteran, but a more seasoned presence. I mean, he'll be new to the program. Yeah, very excited about that one.
Absolutely. And also, Vince, guess what? Right now, we haven't gotten a commitment yet, but 5-star cornerback DJ Pickett still has Florida State in his top list. I'm excited about that.
Yeah. I had kind of written that off. And again, I read what everybody else reads, and I'd kind of written that off because I had not really seen or heard about his name for a while. And lo and behold, today on one of the sites, I think it was 247, I read something about it. That it's not a done deal yet. I would still think it's maybe kind of a far reach, but it is something. But also, how about all the top-notch, top-tier offensive linemen, getting down to the wire here with us? We got Solomon Thomas, who's already a commit. And then we got Petty, Josh Petty, I think is the name. And so the offensive line recruiting is, of all the things rivals say, one of the things that they've said for a long time is that the high school recruiting with this staff is just they're never going to be able to turn it around. Well,
yeah.
I think it's time we open our eyes a little bit. And when I say we, I mean rivals need to open their eyes and understand, excuse me, that there's a method to the madness and the climb is real, right?
Yep.
You have to, this staff had to attack things a different way because of when they started as a staff here.
Yeah.
So back to the table analogy.
Yeah.
You got four legs of the table. You got portal, you got high school recruiting, you've got retainment, and you've got culture. Right. And this last one, the high school recruiting, we're about to see this thing kind of explode. And people, doesn't mean we're going to get everybody. It has never meant that. It has never meant that. Even in the heyday, it didn't mean that. But I'm very excited about that.
And also, we heard word that 4-star composite tight end who's currently committed to Georgia, Elias Williams, expects to do an official visit sometime in June to Florida State.
Is it the last weekend or the last recruiting weekend of June? Because if it is
the big weekend,
yes,
the big weekend,
yeah, that's the big weekend where just the who's who of recruiting is going to be in Tallahassee that weekend. Yep. And if you want to know a specific list of there are plenty of sites that have a list. But that's the big weekend, and that's the last recruiting weekend.
Absolutely. And speaking of just some team updates, we heard one frustrating bit of news, and that's wide receiver Destin Hill likely out for the entire 2024 season. Now, guys, we at the Garnet and Old show had this information that this was the case. What would you say, 3 weeks, a month ago? But
I don't remember when I heard that.
But we did not want to run with it because our source, told us, wait, let's let FSU officially announce it. We knew someone who saw it. Let's just say that.
Yes. Unfortunate. Really, really unfortunate. Ryan, I think something we should do. We haven't done this in a while, and I want to do this tonight. Let's give away some memberships.
Oh, that's exciting.
Who wants a
membership? Let's go. Who wants some free membership?
Here we go. I'm about to click this button. I'm going to gift 5 memberships right now, and first come, first serve. Here we go. First come, first serve. You grab it. You are good to go for a month with memberships. I'd forgotten that we could do this. Stuff's kind of all new to me with the membership thing, but we got 5 new members there too. So
now it'll give you your first month free, and then you can decide if you want to, not continue, or we would prefer you to continue and be part of the Garnet and Old family. So grab up those memberships. We'd love for you guys to join. KDog350 writes, absolutely amazing. And KDog is now, because of the giveaway, our newest member. So welcome, KDog, which I love your Dogecoin.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome.
Look at this. King Spleen, also a new member.
There you go.
Thanks to the giveaway. That's what we do here.
Absolutely.
At the show.
We try to do that.
We have a Discord channel, everyone. Search Garnet and Old Discord, or go to on X or Twitter, whatever you like to call it. And if you go to @VC Noel or @Big Papa East, our Twitter handles, we have our link tree. there, and you can see all of our links. And in those links, you'll see our YouTube, you'll see our all of our memberships, you'll see our Discord channel. So click on over there. We'd love to have more of you. Thank you guys for accepting the free gifts, because we love to give away gifts. Now, we have given away 2. The third one and fourth one and fifth one are still up for grabs. So go ahead and grab those, guys. They are yours for free for the first 30 days. Now, Vince,
I think they're all gone, actually.
They're all gone now? Okay.
I think they're all gone, yeah.
To get back to some other news, Malik Benson and Terrence Ferguson, the guys are better. They got hurt late in the scrimmage, but they are going to be fine. So no worries there. So really, Destin Hill's the only major injury that we have coming out of spring, and hopefully we stay injury bug free as we go into the fall. Wouldn't that be nice? Now, Vince, we have some other information when it comes to how people in the betting world think Florida State will do. Real quick, let's kind of
let's throw this up. Yeah, we do have to speed up because our session with Doug went long, which is fine. It was beautiful. I loved it. But there were some early odds that came out for some of the games next fall. And just in the chat, give us an idea what you think about these. You notice that we are currently an underdog in only one game this coming season, and that is to Notre Dame.
Which was one of it was your only predicted loss. You're on the wins and losses, Vince.
It is my predicted loss at this point, but yeah. So these are the current early betting odds, and -3. If you don't follow this, -13 basically is saying that Florida State would be expected to win by 13 points. Okay.
Yep.
And so the one that says +3.5, you're basically saying Notre Dame is going to beat Florida State by 3.5 points, and you can't win by a half point, right? So. So that's how that works. So if you want to chime in with the chat there and give us an idea, I know I posted a lot of topics we were going to talk about tonight, and we were kind of running into the wire here.
Absolutely. And Vince, all of the new members who just joined, Vince and I will be doing a private live stream for our YouTube members. So that includes all 5 of you that just joined tonight, 6 of you technically that joined tonight. We will announce the time this weekend and date this weekend tomorrow on our Twitter profiles, and we'll let you know when we're going to go live. And then for everyone else who's not a YouTube member, fear not, that live video will go live for all of you a week following that, usually the following week. So come join us, new members. We're going to do a live video, and follow us on X at VCNOL at Big Papa East. And if you mention us in a post and say, hey, I'm a YouTube member, here's my name on the YouTube side, we'll follow you back, and that allows you to DM us on Twitter, back forth, and join our Discord as always. Now, Vince, one other piece of news is that the ACC meetings are scheduled, yes?
The ACC meetings are in Amelia Island next week.
Will you attend?
They won't let me in because we are not real media, Ryan.
We are.
You and I, Big Papa East, VC Knoll, we are who we are. So they're going to look at me and say, who is this guy? We're not letting him in. But I could get there. Yes.
When they say that though, Vince, you just have to say it's all about who you know, and it's a family business.
Okay. Maybe I will take a little jaunt up there just to kind of see what it's like. But ultimately, the reason why I bring this up is how awkward is this going to be?
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be really awesome. And Vince, we've stayed overnight in that very hotel.
We have. Not together.
The Ponte Vedra Inn, right?
No, Amelia Island, Ritz Carlton. Oh, isn't that the Ritz?
Yeah, I thought it was at Ponte Vedra. Never mind.
Yeah. But so this meeting is not like the ACC kickoff, which is, where they bring the players and stuff. And this is meetings. This is, deciding on, people's sock lengths and things like that in the game. I don't know exactly everything they talk about that, but it's not going to be riveting content, I would say.
Kirk David Tony got my reference. So my reference of it's all about who you know, and it's in the family references a scene in which he says he's going to be a doctor, and he says you have to go to medical school, and he's like, well, it's all about who you know. It's the family business.
I got you.
So,
now it makes sense.
Now, everyone, it's been a fantastic show. We have a few seconds left. Please, 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 for sad Big Papa East, do a like on the channel. This would just make my day. Like it, because that helps everyone else find the Garnet and Old channel and helps bring more people into the fold. So please like it, please subscribe, and hey Vince, I hope you, sir, have a great rest of your weekend, because it's always good doing the Garnet and Old show with @VC Noel.
Let me remind everybody, because maybe you forgot, it's Mother's Day this weekend. So don't forget, it's Mother's Day this weekend. And you should do something nice for your mom if you're blessed enough to have your mom still with you in your life, or whoever it was in your life that was like a mother to you. Sunday is Mother's Day. Don't forget about that. Ryan?
I just wanted to juxtapose the UF sucks real quick because he has a USF logo. So I'm confused. Very confused. But
Justin, you're right.
Yeah. Hey, I have friends that went to USF. It's a fine backup school. But hey, screw ESPN eternally, and
send Chiefs all the damn time. This has been Garnet and Old. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and let people know about it. We'll see everybody. We'll see members this weekend, and then we'll catch everybody again next Thursday. Garnet and Old, no inside info, no contacts, no problem.
Go Noles.